Welcome back to my channel. I'm James. Today we've got a ton of stuff to review and deep dive into. The last Starfighter on 4K Ultra HD, and the Haunting 4K Ultra HD, and the Night of the Hunter on 4K Ultra HD, and the brand new The Nutty Professor Paramount Presents limited edition 4K Ultra HD release as well. We're going to be diving into all four of these brand new and upcoming 4K Ultra HD releases. And today I'm going to be doing my exclusive 4K versus the original Blu-ray image comparisons on all of these films. And I've got a massive video in store for all of you today with tons of exclusive testing data, results, and review scores on all four of these films, showing you how these compare to all the original Blu-ray releases and letting you know what of these are worth buying, upgrading to, or adding to your collections. Now, if any of these 4K releases you decide you want to buy or pick up, I've posted all of the direct links from Amazon in the description section right below this video, and as a pinned comment in the comment section below. Those links down there never cost you a penny extra when you click on them to buy any of these releases, but they do help to support the creation of videos just like this just a tiny bit. So make sure if you're gonna buy any of these or add any of these to your collection to click through those links that I posted in the description section and as a pinned comment in the comment section below. Now to start off with here today, I'm gonna start off showing you the native images pulled directly from my Blu-ray release of the previous Arrow Video limited edition Blu-ray release in comparison to the brand new 4K Ultra HD release, which is another limited edition 4K Ultra HD release from Arrow Video as well. Now this one is one of those films I've talked about a lot over the years. If you followed me here on my YouTube channel, I've actually reviewed the original Blu-ray release many years ago when it originally came out, and I really enjoyed the previous Blu-ray release. So it was one of those things that I always enjoyed the movie itself, and I feel like for a film that came out in 1984, I grew up loving the film itself. And to me, it's one of those quintessential 80s films that is near perfect of a film for me, that I absolutely love, that represents everything that I love about sci-fi and the 80s, all mixed together in an absolutely wonderful film. There's nothing in this film that I could say I want changed in any shape or form, and to be honest with you, I never want the film remade either. It's that perfect of a film and holds up well to this day that I absolutely love this nostalgic piece of filmmaking, and I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest with you, that the director of this never went on to direct anything else. If you know the history of it, he did this film, and then he played, obviously, Michael Myers in the Halloween movies. He never directed anything else. And it's a really sad thing because I think he did an absolutely incredibly amazing job with this film. That is one of those pieces of filmmaking that I go back to over and over and over again every year, and I enjoy watching it every single time and find new reasons why I enjoy it. Now, as far as this new 4K Ultra HD release goes, it is a native 4K 2160p, and this 4K was created from a brand new 4K scan and restoration of the original 35mm camera negatives by Arrow Video. I can tell you in comparison to the previous Blu-ray release, there is quite a bit of uptick in detail in the image, depth to the image, and this does have Dolby Vision and HDR10 on it. That does help the image drastically. If you've watched this film, you know there's a lot of neon lights and different like video game lights and highlights and things that come through on it. With the HDR10 and Dolby Vision implementation, it shines through beautifully on this and adds a whole new layer and depth to the film that didn't exist on the previous Blu-ray release, which is, to be honest with you, the most exciting thing about this new 4K release, because they implemented that Dolby Vision and HDR10 so well that like the neon lights of the trailer park and things like that just really glow and just come out of the screen almost at a 3D effect. Even though it's not 3D, the HDR to that effect in your eyes can give you almost a 3D depth to that image that wasn't present on the previous Blu-ray release, which makes this look really one of those brilliantly stunning looking 4K restorations. Now, talking about the audio on this, it does get an uncompressed DTS HD Master Audio 2.0 5.1 and 4.1 mix, which the 4.1 mix is a special one from the 70mm, but as far as the actual audio goes on this, it's very nice to get all of those audio options on this in such a great sounding package. And overall, the audio mixes on this are absolutely stellar. If you own the Universal Blu-ray that I talked about before I reviewed the Arrow Video one many years ago, that Universal one was poor compared to Arrow Video's. And this one is the premier way to watch and listen to it, especially because between the Dolby Vision and the HDR10, you'll get about a 5% difference between those. When I compared them side by side, Dolby Vision was the winner, and it was about 5% better looking color tones, color variants, and things like that. Just looked overall better on the Dolby Vision, but you'll still be blown away by the HDR10 if you only have HDR10 available on your player and your display. Now, as always, the native images you see above are without any of the artificial things your TV can do to change them. So you could pump up your color saturation to 100 and it's gonna make everyone look like they're bleeding. That's not the native or natural way that it's intended to look on these discs. I've always said this over the years, and I get a lot of questions over the years about this, but it's always important to have your TVs correctly and professionally calibrated along with your high-end 4K players. If you're using something like an Xbox or a PlayStation, it doesn't matter what version of them they are, if it's PS5, PS4, PS4 Pro, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, doesn't matter. Any of the consoles have very poor quality 4K players in them, and they don't have the high-end software or chipsets and processing that presents 4Ks in the best quality that they're supposed to be presented when watching them. So if you have one of those and you're watching it from a PS or a PlayStation, for example, or any Xbox console, you'd be doing yourself a very good service by getting yourself a dedicated high-end 4K player. And I've reviewed them before here on this YouTube channel, but my most recommended one that I personally love and use, actually I have two of them that I use when I'm testing all these out. I actually have 6 different players I test every 4K out on, but my 2 favorite high-end ones are my Panasonic UB820s. I have one region free and I have one regular, and I use them both constantly. They are the premier way to watch and view 4K Ultra HD releases. I never have any issues with BD100 discs like Sony players do, if you know anything about those issues. Literally, the Panasonic UB820 is one of those players that is absolutely stellar and will drastically increase your viewing pleasure of watching these 4Ks, especially if you're a cinephile or you love collecting movies and TV shows. You really need to have the Panasonic UB820 in your arsenal so you can experience these films in the best quality ever. As always, I link those players directly in the description section and as a pinned comment in the comment section right below every video. I post some of the equipment that I use, that I test things on, that I personally own, and that I recommend. I always list those down in the description section below every single video. So if it's something you decide you want to get one of those are listed down there for you, and they do go on sale. I post those here in the community section as well when they go on sale. But not meaning to digress too far here, getting back to the last Starfighter, the one thing you will notice on this film is it is an early 1984 film. The CGI from that time period was very limited, and I mean very limited. It's amazing what they were able to do for this film in the first place. But when you get to those scenes on this 4K Ultra HD release, those are the only scenes in it that are lacking as much depth and detail because they're limited by the CGI that was present at that time and the depth and detail that was present in that CGI. Those scenes do look softer and lack a lot of depth that the actual image for the rest of it looks like, because again, that's not something that's ever going to change, and we don't want them to. That gives it the charm of this 80s film. I don't want them to go back in and do a whole new special effects for the film and release it, because it loses what we watched all these years growing up, and the charm that adds to this film is that CGI. But those are the scenes that you'll notice throughout it. They're not done wrong, and they're not something that Arrow Video did wrong or didn't do correctly for this release. It's something that's always going to be present because that's the way it was originally finished and filmed, and that's the way the CGI was finished and put into this film. So those are the only things you're going to notice that intentionally look soft. Now, something else I will reference, because I see a lot of people just not understanding films from the 80s. The way they filmed this with certain lenses and camera filters and certain things they did intentionally to give it a dreamlike appearance in certain scenes. Like when he's sitting in his room and he's looking up at basically the globes that are spinning in his ceiling. When the sunlight's coming across on his face, it gives it kind of more of a hazy, dreamlike appearance intentionally with camera lenses and filters they used to make it seem like he was daydreaming as he looked at the stars and thinking of going to space. Those scenes are intentionally done on purpose that way. That's not something wrong again with this. There's no DNR present on this. There was no film grain reduction programs like the program Neat used on this. It has its film grain nicely filmic throughout the entire runtime. They didn't take it away at all. Now, showing you what you get in this, it does come with a nice slipcover. Now, I will point out one thing that's a detractor about this one versus the previous Blu-ray release I own. The slipcover on the previous Blu-ray release was shiny metallic. This one is dull finish. I was a little disappointed they didn't do the same shiny metallic as what was on the previous slipcover I own. But as far as that goes, if you want to switch them out, you can. My issue is I like to have it matching the set, so I didn't switch my slipcovers out, but you do have that option. You'll notice this one is dull versus the one on the Blu-ray was a shiny metallic material. Side, it says The Last Starfighter. Then on the back, it says the same things that the previous slipcover did as well. Now, you do get reversible cover artwork on this. I switch it always to the opposite one of the slipcover. I do like the slipcover and I do like the reversible artwork as well. Side, it says same thing, and then the back, it is slightly different. Now, all of the special features that are contained on this 4K Ultra HD release are the same ones from the previous Blu-ray release, so it's very comprehensive. Has everything you'd ever want to watch and know about The Last Starfighter. The special features that Arrow Video commissioned and did for this are really incredible and enjoyable to watch. Now, when you get inside here, this is your 4K Ultra HD. It is a BD100 and it is 100% region free. You won't have any issues playing this on any player anywhere worldwide. That link I posted down there from Amazon, if you decide you're gonna buy this, that'll ship anywhere worldwide. And the disc is region free, so you'll be good to go. Now, you do get this limited edition booklet, which I really like. It talks about all the different things of the film, has essays about it, behind the scenes, pictures from the film. It's an enjoyable read, and I do like these booklets. These are what really add to the collectability of these Arrow Video releases, and I like that they continue to release them in their limited edition sets with all of these booklets included. Now, getting to the rough average bitrate, this had a shockingly high and extremely strong rough average bitrate of 102 megabits per second. Wow, is all I can say. It was shocking how high and strong it was. It lends to why throughout this, the film grain is very stable and nicely filmic. There wasn't any massive fluctuations in the image. Getting to my review score, this gets a brilliant 9.4. This is a must buy that you need to buy and add to your collection. It is literally one of those beautiful 1980s sci-fi films that now looks the best it ever has on 4K Ultra HD. You will enjoy watching this over and over and over again, just like me. It is a near perfect 80s film that I absolutely adore. And it's one of those films you can watch with the whole family. Your kids can watch it over and over again. And you'll find every time you watch it, there's little things you find you will love more and more about this film. This gets a 9.4 and it is a must buy. You need to add to your collection. I've posted that direct link down in the description section and as a pinned comment in the comment section below. So if you decide to pick any of these up, make sure to click on those links I posted down below. Now, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. Just like with this video, the only way I can continue to create these exclusive image comparisons that all of you enjoy watching is through you, my viewers and subscribers support. And the best way to support the creation of videos just like this is through my Collectors VIP Club. It's very important if you enjoy all these videos, if you watch these videos and these videos help you out. Make sure to join my Collectors VIP Club. It only costs you less than a couple of dollars every month, but it drastically makes a difference in the creation of every single one of these videos. Don't wait for somebody else to support the creation of these videos. And I need the support of all of you, my viewers and subscribers, through my Collectors VIP Club to constantly be able to create these. So make sure to join my Collectors VIP Club and give this video a like and a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. Next up, we have The Haunting from 1999. And this is one of those kind of more light horror movies that has a really good feel to it. I've always really enjoyed. Well, I got a surprise. I got a slipcover with mine. Just kidding. This is actually the Paramount Presents slipcover. I just thought I'd point this out though. If you own the Paramount Presents release from before, it has the same special features in the Paramount Presents release as the new 4K Ultra HD release does. So you could just take your slipcover off if you're like me and like to be a slipcover collector. It has the nice poster artwork on it, has the list of the exact same special features on it that's contained in the brand new 4K Ultra HD release. So you can literally just slip your slipcover on just like I did, and then guess what? You got a slipcover with your Shout Factory release that they didn't give us. Now we're obviously comparing this 4K to the previous 2020 Paramount Presents Blu-ray release. Now this was released originally by Paramount Studios in their Paramount Presents line. And I originally talked about this about a couple of years ago when it first came out here on my YouTube channel. And I've always enjoyed The Haunting, and I bought this and enjoyed this release as well. Though I can tell you in comparison to the 4K, as you're noticing up above, it does have a bit more depth and detail in this new 4K release. That is a nice improvement over the previous Blu-ray release. Now, as far as the specs go on this, it is a native 4K 2160p, and it does have Dolby Vision and HDR10 on it. And the one thing I noticed when comparing them side by side and sitting down and watching them both, between the Blu-ray and this new 4K release, the skin tones, colors, and the overall basically color tones and obviously the color depth in it is much more enhanced and better looking on this 4K than it was on the previous Blu-ray release. Now, am I gonna say it's gonna shock you and blow you away? No, it's just noticeable. If you sit down and go side by side, just like as you're noticing those images above, it does look better on this native 4K than it did on the Blu-ray release. Though there is one thing that was exasperated a little bit more on this 4K than it was on the Blu-ray before, and I'll explain what I mean. For The Haunting, it was intentionally filmed as a more darker horror film. That was what they were going for. So there's numerous scenes where they had the sets dark, and the actual film itself is intentionally dark, and there's some scenes where it's hard to see, just like it was on the Blu-ray. On the 4K Ultra HD release, there are some of those scenes that are just slightly darker and do create a little bit of black crush on this 4K Ultra HD release that is not as heavy as it was on the Blu-ray release. So that's one area where the Blu-ray release won just slightly one up, because in those scenes where it's dark, you can see just slightly more than you can on the 4K Ultra HD release in only a few scenes. Throughout all of it, even though the whole film is intentionally dark, it's not black crushed through the whole thing. Just a few scenes were noticeable throughout, which does affect my review score at the end, but otherwise, the depth and detail that's present in this is nice. There's actually quite a bit more that you can notice with flesh, and you can see more things like pores and skin and hair. There's a lot more present in the native 4K image that's on this than what was present on the Blu-ray. Talking about the film grain is quite a bit more stable and filmic in this than on the previous Blu-ray. The previous Blu-ray, my gripe with it was there was quite a bit of film grain fluctuations and flashing with the film grain. That's where like it would go through where the film grain looks nice and even, and then it would just kind of fluctuate, and you'd see kind of flashing, some slight digital noise. On this, it doesn't have any of those issues whatsoever. There's no flashing, there's no fluctuations of the film grain, there's no instabilities with it going in and out. So you don't have any of those issues with the image. So that's where this gets a big one up over the previous Blu-ray release. Now, audio-wise, you do get English DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 and 2.0 on this. Now, as far as getting comparison to the previous Blu-ray release, the one thing I did notice on the audio mix on this is it did have much more range on it, and it did have much more LFE. You could feel it building up, and there was so much more LFE than what I felt like was on the previous Blu-ray release. And I will tell you, on the previous Blu-ray release, I thought it had some pretty dang good LFE before. This one takes it up another level and another notch. You really notice it heavy, where your neighbors next door could feel their walls shaking, especially if you have a nice home theater setup, just like I've talked about previously on this YouTube channel with how to get a reference home audio setup. If you haven't checked out that video, you really need to go check out that video and find out what you're missing out on, but that is a way to get a very nice reference home theater audio setup. But with this, it does notch it up another notch with the audio on this, and I did appreciate that because this is one of those films, as a horror film, it makes you jump, but I really enjoy the film. I think Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones is great in it. I think their performances are fun in it. Even Owen Wilson I enjoy in this, and it's one of those films that as the years go by, I enjoy going back and watching again. That's why I obviously upgraded and bought it again, and this wasn't sent to me for review from Shout Factory. This is one I had to go out and buy, which is why it took me a little while to get through and do this review. But it is one of those that there was enough upgrade and appreciable detail that I noticed in it that it was to me worthwhile over the previous Blu-ray. Now you do get this cover artwork on here, but like I said, you can always use the previous slipcover if you own the previous Paramount Presents. Just slip it over and then you got a nice slipcover to add to your collection. That's what I'm doing. But as far as this release goes, on the side it says The Haunting, then on the back it talks about it. Exact same special features as what was released previously, though I will say this is a different Blu-ray release than obviously what the Paramount Presents was. As it says, it's a brand new 4K scan of the original camera negative, which is what's on this release, which is why the actual film grain and everything else is more stable on this than on the previous release as well. They did a very nice job with that sense of it, and you'll understand a little more when I get to the bitrate here. Now, inside here, this is your Blu-ray disc, this is your 4K Ultra HD. 4K Ultra HD is a BD100 and region free. I tested it on all my players, my region A, my region B, and my region C. You'll have no issues no matter where you live worldwide enjoying the 4K Ultra HD disc. Blu-ray disc though is region A locked. So you won't be able to watch this unless you live in region A territory or you have a region free player. But the good news is the 4K is not region locked. Though, I will tell you I'll have a review coming out later, hopefully this week, as long as my health holds up and I get around to doing that one. There is some slight things on some other Shout Factory releases that are big, huge disappointments. But as far as this release goes, your 4K disc is still region free. Now, getting to the rough average bitrate here. This had an extremely high and extremely healthy 95 megabits per second. With such a high rough average bitrate, that is why the depth, detail, and stability over that previous Blu-ray is so drastically improved on this 4K Ultra HD release. Though keep in mind, like I said, the negative side of it, you will notice those few scenes where it does get some black crush. So it's kind of one of those things, you get some good stuff, bitrate, obviously the sound being slightly better. There is some things on this that I did appreciate more, the depth and detail, but then you also get a negative. Now, getting to my review score for The Haunting on 4K Ultra HD. This gets a very good 8.8. It's enjoyable. I'm glad I have it in my collection. It is one that I was glad to upgrade. It's just always one of those things I wish every single thing on this release was a massive upgrade over the Blu-ray. So that way I could say, hey, this is a 9.5, 9.6 or whatever it would fall in. But it's just simply not. It's an 8.8. If you go into it with that understanding, you will enjoy it. Just go into it with the understanding of some of those limitations and you'll still think it was worth getting. And I did enjoy this film. Now, if you want a recommendation of another kind of more light horror film that I've always enjoyed, you'll want to check out Poltergeist. I did an exclusive 4K versus Blu-ray image comparison of that 4K release here last year. If you haven't checked out that review yet here on my YouTube channel, you're going to want to go check out that. That's another fun horror movie just like this one that I really enjoyed. That's not too intense, but it has a really good feel and is a really enjoyable ride. You'll want to go check out Poltergeist after you get done watching this review. But let me know in the comment section below if you've seen this film, if you own the previous Blu-ray release from Paramount Presents, and if you're excited now that you've heard my review score to buy this and if you're going to add this to your collection. Make sure to start that conversation in the comment section below. I always love hearing from all of you. Next up we have The Night of the Hunter from 1955. Now we're going to be comparing this 4K Ultra HD release from Kino Lorber to the previous Criterion Collection Blu-ray release from 2010. Now they did reissue it again later on, but it's the same Blu-ray release. So we're comparing it to the image pulled directly from that Blu-ray disc to what this 4K Ultra HD disc looks like. Now I can tell you the image on this is drastically improved in several different areas. For example, on the previous Criterion Collection Blu-ray release, it had numerous fluctuations in the film grain that were really, really bad. Numerous instabilities, lots of damage was still present. Even though they did a nice job on that Blu-ray release, there was still a lot of film damage present. Tears, speckles, little lines, rips, fading on the top left and right corners of the screen. And what Kino Lorber did here is they did a brand new 4K scan of the original 35mm camera negatives with a brand new Dolby Vision and HDR10 master. I can tell you on this, there was a lot of things improved and fixed over even that good previous Criterion Blu-ray release. The fluctuations are pretty much gone on this new 4K release. There are some, but they're not nearly anywhere as bad as they were on the Criterion. A lot of the things with the film grain, the stability is a lot better on this. You don't notice anywhere near as much of the flashing is what I call it with the film grain, where it gets really heavy, really light, really heavy, and it just kind of goes in and out. That's gone on this. Though you will still notice there are still some lines, some slight little things like smudges and blots on the film that are present on this, but there's a lot less of them on this than what was present on the previous Criterion Collection release. So I can tell you it's a drastic improvement in those areas. Now this is a native 4K 2160p, and talking about the audio here, this does have English, DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 and 2.0 mix. I can tell you I personally enjoyed the 5.1 and was surprised at how good of an audio mix it really was for this release. Now if you haven't checked out my previous The Longest Yard 4K Ultra HD review, you're going to want to go check out that review. I did that here just about a week ago, and that was sent to me for review from Kino Lorber just like this was, and I always appreciate when Kino Lorber sends me things for review, but as always it never affects my review score. But this is one of those that I will say the audio mix, what they did on this with the audio and everything, is much better than what I had expected. And I will tell you the audio mixes on this was a drastic improvement and a very nice increase in the clarity, getting rid of some of the hisses and clicks that were present on the Criterion Blu-ray release are gone on this. This is the best I have ever heard the Night of the Hunter ever sound. And it really is surprising for a film that came out in 1955, how good of a job they did with the audio mix on this as well. And if you've watched The Longest Yard, I really wish they would have done something like what they did on this with the 5.1 DTS mix they did on this. I wish they would have done a similar thing with The Longest Yard as I talked about in that review. But if you want to know my thoughts and review score on that, you can check out that video after you get done with this one. But as far as this one goes, the audio mix on this was a very nice and pleasant surprise. Now, because this is a native 4K, as you're noticing in those images above versus the Criterion Collection Blu-ray release I own, there is a lot more depth in this image because with all of those varying shades of grays and whites and blacks, and obviously being a native 4K, when they go back and scan those film elements, it shows so much more depth in that image. I was really surprised at how you could see so much more, like with their hair and their face. A lot of these black and white films can really shine through great with Dolby Vision and HDR10 if done correctly. And I'm happy to report the Night of the Hunter, they did a pretty dang good job with this one. Other than, like I said, there is still things like you'll notice, tears and lines and little speckles and things that'll show up throughout it. Now, showing you what you get in this, you do get this really nice slipcover. Again, Kino Lorber slipcovers are only printed in the first pressings. So don't wait long if you decide you're wanting to buy this. Click through that link I posted down below if you're wanting to order your copy. On the side here, it does say Night of the Hunter. The back, it talks about it. Now, I can tell you it has a bunch of special features on here, audio commentaries, isolated music and effects soundtrack on the 4K disc, which I did think that was a pretty nice touch as well. Now, I did want to point out one mistake on the back of the box here. It does show it's region A locked. As always, I exclusively test every single disc for a specific reason. I've now found 17 4K Ultra HD releases that I've talked about over the years here on my YouTube channel that are region locked to different regions and territories. This one, it does say region A, both for the Blu-ray and the 4K. I can tell you they are both 100% region free. So the good news is, even on the Blu-ray in this set, even though they put the region A locked for the Blu-ray disc, that's incorrect. It is 100% region free. So if you do want to import or buy this, you'll be able to watch all of these special features that I was talking about that are on the separate Blu-ray disc. They're all accessible because it's 100% region-free set, both discs inside this set. And showing you what you get inside here, it's your regular Kino Lorber artwork, special features disc on Blu-ray, and your 4K Ultra HD disc. Now, getting to the rough average bitrate. On this, it had a healthy and strong 80 megabits per second. It was very nice. I did enjoy it. I think it looks good and it is an improvement over the previous Criterion Collection Blu-ray. It does have things like the sound that did surprise me. I liked getting the two different audio mixes. The 5.1 I personally really enjoyed, just it having more that went around you as opposed to the 2.0. But that 5.1 mix I really did enjoy on this release, and I was surprised at how good of an audio mix it was and made this a really worthwhile addition and upgrade over all the previous Blu-ray releases that I've owned of Night of the Hunter. So this was one of those that I was really surprised it actually looked and sounded as good as it did. Now, getting to my review score. This gets a very good 8.7. I very much enjoyed this. This is highly recommended to buy and add to your collection. It's a great classic film. It's a worthwhile upgrade. In every sense of this 4K release, Kino Lorber beat out all of the previous Blu-ray releases. that I don't ever care to watch those Blu-ray releases again. This is that nice of an upgrade that every aspect of it, image and audio, even though yes, it does still have some of that damage present, you'll notice throughout it, and that's why it's an 8.7, because that damage is still there, some of it. But otherwise, it's still a highly recommended release that you buy and add this to your collection. It's a great classic film, but the 8.7 tells you what the image and sound quality come out to. So in comparison to the hundreds of other 4Ks I've tested and exclusively reviewed here on my channel, that gives you an idea exactly what to expect image quality and sound quality wise out of this release. For a 1955 film, it does look pretty dang good, and I think it'll surprise you, the native film grain that's on it, that runs throughout it. Just don't expect it to be a Casablanca. If you haven't checked out my Casablanca review, that was an amazing restoration. That was millions and millions of dollars in a budget in that. That's a different type of restoration than what this obviously got, but this is still a very nice and worthwhile addition to your 4K UltraHD collection. And I absolutely love this Kino Lorber release, and I'm excited when Kino Lorber keeps announcing more and more of these 4K releases. Now, don't forget, the only way I can always continue to create comparison review videos just like this massive video you're watching right now is through your support through my Collectors VIP Club. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure to join my Collectors VIP Club and give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. Next up, we have the comedy classic from 1963, The Nutty Professor. This personally is one of my all-time favorite Jerry Lewis films, and I really think he does an absolutely amazing job as the two dual roles in this film. I personally like this film even better than the remake that they made many years later, obviously, with Eddie Murphy. I think he does a really good job in the role of obviously the Nutty Professor, and then such a drastic transformation into his alter ego. And I think that that's really great how it plays off of how geeky and kind of awkward he is as the Nutty Professor, and it really is a fun movie. I love the film itself. Though Paramount Presents, as I've talked about many times over the years, has had a more rough history of releasing 4K UltraHD releases. Though, if you've watched my last several reviews of the Paramount Presents line, like Red Eye, I recently did, they have been getting much better and doing a much better job as they've been going along. So I was curious, is this going to be a step in the right direction, or is this going to set them back? Well, I can tell you this is a native 4K 2160p. It does have Dolby Vision and HDR10 on it. Though I will tell you, between the Dolby Vision and the HDR10 on this one, the Dolby Vision was almost 10% better looking than the HDR10. So if you do have Dolby Vision available on your 4K player and TV, there was a noticeable difference between the two of them. And I will say the Dolby Vision was the clear winner. HDR10 still looks great on this, but Dolby Vision, let me tell you, because there's a lot of those neon colors like what you're seeing on this cover, it was very stylistically done. Like when he goes to the nightclub and it's all the neon colors behind him as you're noticing those images above. On the native images from this 4K, as you're seeing up there compared to the previous Blu-ray release, just like when he's in that club, the neon colors come through so much more vibrant and are just so much more alive on this 4K release than they ever were previously on the Blu-ray release. That's enhanced by the wider color gamut that is present on 4Ks with their HDR implementations, and it's done beautifully well on this and drastically enhances the look of this film to give it the most beautiful color spectrum I've seen on this film ever. Now, talking about the audio on this, this does get English DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 and 2.0 mono. I can say the 5.1 is what I enjoyed. It sounded great, it sounded clean, it sounded clear. I thought it didn't have massive range on it because it's still limited by the original source material, but it did sound good and it was very clear and clean, which is what I'm looking for out of it. There wasn't a lot of over noise or things that were coming in. It had a very nice sounding audio mix. Now, the million-dollar question everybody's wondering is, how's the film grain on this? Well, as you're probably noticing those images above, the native film grain is present on this beautifully. They did not scrub it away, they did not DNR it, they did not use the program neat, and they did not limit it. Now, I will point out something that I've heard a lot of people point out. A lot of the times if film grain is lighter, sometimes people will say, well, it was DNR. Here's the hard thing. If you don't understand the original 35mm film elements and what they were filmed on from those time periods, you might not understand that in some instances, companies cannot use DNR. DNR is a different form of it. They can use the program Neat, or they can use certain things that are just film reduction, which is not DNR. It's actually film reduction. Those are differences between DNR, film grain reduction, program Neat. There's numerous things that are used. So I hear a lot of the times people say, well, everything's just DNR. That's not the case. There's numerous different things that are programs that studios can use. It wasn't used on this, so I'm just pointing that out. But there are different things that on other releases that can be used that is not just DNR. I hear a lot of the times just the general term DNR. Actually, I hear reviewers use it a lot, and I just think it's because they don't really understand the different programs or know anything about that. And they say, well, DNR was used on this, DNR was used on that, and that's the general term it seems like everybody likes to throw out there. But it's not actually that simple. There's numerous other things other than DNR that I said, like film grain reduction programs that simply deal with reducing it without using DNR specifically. So there is digital noise reduction programs, which is digital noise reduction, obviously DNR. And again, without trying to make this too complicated, I just wanted to point that out because I hear a lot of those terms getting thrown out. It seems like a lot of people just don't understand that there are other things which do other types of things for films that aren't just DNR in general for everything. But that's me just kind of going on another subject. Anyhow, as far as this release, none of that is present on this. The film grain is there from beginning to end, nicely filmic throughout it. There are some slight fluctuations, but they're not horrible. There's no blots, splots, speckles, tears, lines. Literally, the restoration that Paramount Presents did for this 4K Ultra HD release is absolutely stunning and absolutely shocking how good this film looks compared to that previous Blu-ray release. You'll throw that thing in the trash with how poor that looks in comparison to this 4K Ultra HD release. This is literally one of those surprisingly stunning 4K Ultra HD releases that I was very surprised we got. Now, showing you what you get in this, it does come with the original poster artwork in here. I love how they do that on the slipcover. Side here, it is shiny. It says The Nutty Professor, number 40. Talks about the film back here. You do get a digital movie copy in this. It does talk about all new special features, new filmmaker focus, new both sides of the camera, new Jerry Lewis and Frank Taskin discuss The Nutty Professor, plus over an hour of legacy bonus features, behind the scenes content, bloopers, deleted scenes, screen tests, all contained on the 4K Ultra HD disc in this set. Now, showing what you get in this, you do get nice artwork on the inside of the case. This is where your digital copy code would normally be. The 4K disc in here is BD100 and it's 100% region free. Everything, special features, and everything are contained on this BD100. Plenty of room for the content. They didn't overcompress it at all, which lends to why the image is so nicely filmic. And this is the best looking Paramount Presents line 4K that I've seen come out yet. Now, talking about the rough average bitrate, this had a very healthy and strong average bitrate of 70 megabits per second. It was very nice. It was very filmic. Throughout all of it, there wasn't any massive, huge dips. Now, the only thing I will say is there was a few instances of slight instabilities, as I referenced before, in the film grain. But that's about all I could really see on it. For a film from 1963, it's really incredible how they released this on 4K Ultra HD. Now, getting to my review score, this gets an excellent 9.5. This is a must buy. You need to buy and add to your collection. Support this release from Paramount Presents. They are stepping up their game in this line. They are listening to us, the fans, the collectors. They are hearing what we have to say about leaving the native film grain, not getting rid of it, and they are doing a great job with the restoration because this looks the absolute best I've ever seen the Nutty Professor. It is a shocking 4K Ultra HD release. You need to see and experience yourself. I can't explain to you how good the colors look on this. The skin tones and everything else, the nightclubs, all of those neon colors just shine through absolutely beautifully on this. 9.5, excellent job by Paramount Presents. Keep them coming. This is a must buy. Now, if you decide you're gonna buy any of these that I've reviewed in this video, as always, click on those links I've posted from Amazon in the description section and as a pinned comment in the comment section below. Make sure if you're gonna buy or add these to your collection, as always, that tiny bit of support that comes from those links down there is very, very important. Every tiny little bit of support I get from my Collectors VIP Club, all the way through to any of those links that you click on, all adds up together to make it possible for me to keep creating videos just like this. As always, these are always exclusive because nobody wants to spend the time and the money to do all these exclusive image comparisons. And I need all of your support. So make sure if you enjoy all this content, support me through my Collectors VIP Club. That's an easy way to support every single video, and then always buy through all of those links that I post down below for every release that I review. If you decide you're buying any of them, always click through those links down there below. Make sure to let me know what of these you're excited for, what of these you're gonna buy now after hearing my reviews, seeing my image comparisons. Let me know how excited you are for these releases. As always, start that conversation in the comment section below. I always love to hear what of these you guys are excited about, what of these you're excited to add to your collections. Don't forget to give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. As always, I truly hope all of you have a blessed day. And I've always got something new, exclusive, and exciting coming out very soon.